Well, Mayor Bob, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. A round of snow, a couple rounds of snow last week, making up for the fact that you pretty much put the snow equipment away in the months of November and December.
Even most of January,
Even,
too.
even most of January is right. So everything had to deal with that, had to deal with the colds. Everything came through somewhat unscathed, from what I understand.
Everything. Hello, also. Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's winter. What are you going to do? Yeah, we got through everything okay. I personally don't care for the cold. I don't know of anybody that likes the cold, but it's a kind of a shame a few weeks ago that because of the cold, it affected our Winterfest and everything going on downtown. But we live in Wisconsin. What are you going to expect? Now, I'm hoping this April isn't like last year where I have 2 or 3 snow emergencies. But we got through it. I can't say enough good things about our Department of Public Works and how they make things work. I do get concerned, it's like a week ago Monday when we had water and stuff like that. And I swear, only in Wisconsin it could be 20 below one day, up to 40 or 50 the next. That's just part of where we live, part of the adventure. But I do get concerned because, when it freezes like that, it's soupy, whatever, watery. But then when it freezes, it runs the risk of breaking pipes. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. We have that set aside in our budgets and everything, but it's always a concern. It's just part of running a city. You want to make sure things are taken care of. I have noticed, and I have mentioned this before, about our Department of Public Works, who I think very highly of. All our employees do a great job for the city. But it always seems it happens in the middle of the night, usually on a weekend or a holiday. It's been pretty good this year, but just the same, if something does happen, we'll have it prepared and taken care of quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of something that goes hand in hand with one of the things we're going to talk about here is
Okay.
infrastructure projects, because those pipes, they become more susceptible to water main breaks, not only as the temperature drops, but the older they get as well. And one way you combat that is infrastructure projects,
And maintenance and everything. I got
maintenance,
pipes that
yeah.
are over 100 years old out there. As a matter of fact, later on in February, we are going to be having a press conference, a media roundtable, whatever, as far as the different infrastructure projects going on throughout the city going into 2019. Most of these have already been budgeted and set aside for. We are going to be talking about the possibility as far as relocating our water utility plant located down by the riverfront to an area for some wells that we already own off of Berwick Avenue. We're going to be having some public hearings over at the Tech, both here in February and in March, to let residents know as far as what is going to be happening with the possibility of moving that. And a lot of this has been like an evolution, if you will. We've known for some time that these places have to be updated, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of these things are going back to the 1930s. The last major update for these facilities was going back to 1988, but a lot of this is going back to the 30s. And very respectfully, I've got roads, I've got a water or sewage treatment plant, pipes, different infrastructure, government buildings that are very old. And it's come to the point where, frankly, the Band-Aid approach that might have been done previously, that's not going to work anymore. And it does take courage to bring these projects forward. It's something that all of us use, no matter what part of town you live in or your background or whatever. And things need to be updated, if not completely replaced. And for a lot of these projects, that's where we're at. I'm trying to get the message out right now. Most people already know about this. This is something we've done the entire time I've been in office, to get that message out so folks know what's happening, and that say, hey, a lot of this stuff, it just isn't even a choice anymore. It needs to be replaced. And for whatever reason, it's time. Interest rates are very low. We can get loans for next to nothing. But possibly in moving that water utility plant, now would be the time to do it, because we do own some land with big wells on there that will supply the city's water for the next 100+ years. And again, it's part of that vision, if you will, as far as a city, that we have these things that don't last forever. And if we're going to have to take on debt, now would be the time to do it. And that takes some courage going into the 2020 election season. But I still believe it's the right thing to do. It's a responsible thing to do. It'd be just as easy to, we'll just push it off on the side or save it for the next mayor or whatever. That isn't right. Again, I know some people don't like the sound of this, but I still think it's the right thing to do, and now would be the time to do it. So anyways, later on in February, we're going to be having a conference, like I said, to let folks know as far as what's happening, all the different projects going on, most of which have already been budgeted and taken care of. But we got some things coming up that I want residents to know about, to be prepared for, to hear about. It just goes back, that's something we've been very lucky the last few years. We really don't hear from too many people. I didn't know about that. We bring that stuff out now to a fault. And the good news is people know it's something that's needed. It's not just something, a wish list, if you will. These are issues in the infrastructure that needs to be addressed. And I think most people understand the reason why. I know a lot of people don't want to pay for it. I understand that. But I also think it's irresponsible to let things go. Hence the reason why we're reading this forward for folks to know about. In 2019, there's going to be a lot of construction going on. Some things might be inconvenient. I'll be the first to admit that. But I also say, when it's all done, it's going to look great. And that infrastructure is another thing that attracts businesses and people to come to the city. And I've got different areas like First Avenue or Thomas Street or whatever that need to be updated. And we're going to be doing it. Town Line Road is another one. These are issues that need to be addressed, and they will be.
Absolutely. And of course, you bring up the water plants. So we already know that there's going to be a water rate increase to help pay for some low interest loans that the city is going to get through the DNR and various other sources.
Right, and I've actually spoken with our state representatives and the DNR, possibly to get some help as far as to offset a lot of that cost, if you want to call it that, to get whatever projects I can into the 2020 budget to offset cost again. And they seem amiable at this time as far as trying to help us out. We're no different than any other community. I just think it's Wausau that, obviously I have to worry about. I mean, I want to do what's right for the entire region. Ultimately, by having a lot of our infrastructure taken care of, it's going to help all of us out in the long run. And again, it's something that all of us use.
And so is this possible, the possibility of relocating this, is this going to be rolled into, maybe some of those expenses and some of those upgrades with the treatment plant that have already been planned, or are those things that are too early to tell at this point?
Most of it actually, it's coming forward, and it's going to cost, if we were to relocate, say from where we're at down there off of the riverfront, to move out to the different area in the northwest part of town, it's going to cost about $11 million. But something to think about, that water treatment plant or the water utility plant right now is 60 years old. The machinery in there is that time as well. I cannot believe how our employees over the years have maintained that machinery. It's incredible what they've done. But again, now would be the time to do it. I'm running out of room in that area. Respectfully, the DNR and the state always increases the mandates as far as different things, be it phosphorus or magnesium or whatever thing that needs to be addressed. And I'm running out of area as far as expansion for those mandates, if you will. And I've got plenty of room out there on the other side of town. And it's just the right thing to do, sustainability-wise. And this is just something that has been evolving since maybe November. But all the experts, the ones that deal with this, say it's the right thing to do. And so we're going to be having, like I said, neighborhood groups and meeting with different folks at the tech, coming up, North Central Technical College, at different meetings and public hearings in both February and March. We've actually been having this out on our website, and the water utility meetings have been filmed since November. And we've spoken with the media and different neighborhood groups to let folks know about this. If we're going to do it, now would be the time. Again, so much of our infrastructure is so old that now would be the time to replace it. Sure, it's going to be expensive. I'm not going to mislead anybody on that. But again, it's something that needs to be done. It's that, kind of like I say about other things, it's that short-term, investment, if you will, for a long-term payoff. But some of this stuff cannot be ignored anymore. So that's what we're going to be talking about. People know about this, or they certainly will now. And this will be a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But from what we've been told by the experts, that it's a good thing to do. Expensive, yes, but it's needed.
And one of the other things that you started here in the last week or so, and you're talking about making sure everybody knows about these projects and getting these ideas out there, you started kind of a fun morning coffee and conversations.
Coffee with the mayor.
With the mayor at
Sure.
various parts of town. You had one last week. I mean, when people bring up these topics with you, I mean, how have those conversations been going?
Most people, frankly, are wonderful, or reasonable and rational. Sure, there's concerns. Most people get it, though. It's part of living in a decent, civilized community. You're going to have to pay for it. And infrastructure is one of those things that can't be ignored. You know, we've already got tough roads and everything like that. And I'm trying to get more state involvement now through our representatives, through the governor. Hey, don't forget about WASA, please. It's something that needs to be addressed. But in answer to your question, no, Coffee with the Mayor was just another initiative. Everybody knows that I'm very accessible, very open. People are always amazed. They can basically walk in here. You know, sometimes I'm not here, or sometimes we need to set up an appointment, but they can come talk to me about anything. Coffee with the Mayor was just an idea I had as far as another outreach as far as residents to hear what they have to say, address their concerns, the good, the bad, the ugly. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Are there ways we could be saving money? And I mean legitimate ways, you know, as far as saving money, not the infamous don't spend it. Well, that's not reality, folks. Mm-hmm. And I say that not to be disrespectful, but it's just the truth. You live in a decent, civilized community where all of us are utilizing the same things and infrastructure. It's got to be taken care of. And I'm not just talking regular maintenance. A lot of this has to be updated. And now would be the time. And again, if you don't think that this takes courage to take this on going into the 2020 election season, I'm just being truthful with people, because if it's not me, it's going to be the next person, whoever that might be. Hopefully it's me. But we're addressing things as they should be, and it's time. And a lot of things too, we're no different than most other communities in Wisconsin. In a lot of ways, we are on our own. Now, like I said, I've asked for help from the state as far as to offset the cost of things. I feel pretty confident that we can get some type of help, you know. We'll see. But that's just part of that good relationship we have with others, our state reps, the governor, whatever. Mm-hmm. But getting back to Coffee with the Mayor, it was just another idea I had as far as sitting down, talking to residents and hearing what they have to say, to be accessible and open-minded. Last week, for the first time, yeah, we had the snowfall, but we still had a halfway decent turnout. Almost everything was pretty positive. Yeah, there's some things they don't like, but overall they like the way the direction of the city is going. And they appreciate the honesty and candor. Even on those things that people don't want to hear about, you know, it's being addressed. And I generally like hearing from folks and what they have to say. Every now and then there's, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but that's just not going to happen. But a lot of these ideas are valid, and it's just another way to hear what people have, be it to vent or whatever you want to call it, or to share ideas. And that's just something I genuinely enjoy. And it's something we've been doing since day one. Different neighborhood groups, events and stuff like that, myself and staff. People get surprised, but it usually in a good way. And that's just what I want, is that positive feedback, if you will. And if it's negative, so be it. I'll see what I can do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well,
but we're having another one coming up here. It's something I want to do once a month. Okay. And I like coffee too.
Oh, that too. Yeah, people like coffee as well. Yeah. We always appreciate the open door policy and the time you take to discuss with us as well. We always appreciate the time here, Mr. Mayor. We'll be back in touch later next month.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Take care, Wassa.